written in the stars. I think one of my favorite parts about like the segments that we get to do for like the channel, whether it's this one or the other one, is the fact that like we can literally watch whatever the heck we want. And it's like
you're gonna watch it.
Yeah, because it's like they're already here.
Yeah.
We've already acquired the audience, and it's like, yo, we just because we like music doesn't mean that we don't have any other things that interest us at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all know I'm huge. I love history. Mm-hmm. So whenever I can get a chance to dive into like anything that's like along those things, my mind's like, like a little kid. I'm like, yes, because like this thing, cause it's like I would have never thought about it if you think about it, right?
Right.
Like Ethiopia. When was the last time we thought about Ethiopia at all?
Never.
Besides the long distance running, guys, those guys murder it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of all I have from there. So, what channels is this gonna be dropping on so we can get our hey, we guys good morning it up.
Yeah.
Good morning.
What's going on, guys? My name's Alan.
And I'm Alex.
Welcome to Amicy channel.
Guys, listen, if you're not a part of the Amicy gang or the Amicy Theory channel, click on that subscribe button below and join us and be a part of the squad.
Oh God.
So today we've got I was scrolling through Instagram a couple nights ago, and I saw a 30-second clip about how Ethiopia had never gotten colonized.
Which is crazy.
And I was like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Let's go dive into this. So we were watching a couple other things. We were like, yo, let's look into this. So we found a video that's 9 minutes long, and I'm like a freaking kid, and I'm so excited.
We need to find the answers.
So we got, how did Italy lose to Ethiopia? 1895, animated history. I gotta see the visuals. So without further ado, let's do what we're doing best, guys. Hey, this is what Italy did. Forget about it. Let's keep popping.
Let's get it.
This video is sponsored by Brilliant. More on that later. Hi, I'm Griffin Johnson, the Armchair Historian. Today's video, how did Italy lose against Ethiopia?
The Armchair Historian. Talk to us, bro.
During the scramble for Africa, every indigenous nation that was invaded by European powers fell within a matter of decades, all except one, the ancient empire of Ethiopia, also known as Abyssinia. As the world watched, the supposedly primitive Ethiopians were able to repel a modern European army. This defeat was grave and humiliating, and many were puzzled as to how it could have occurred.
Ethiopia.
Before we start analyzing this defeat, let's get some background on the cause of the invasion.
It was like right there.
In 1869, not long after Italy was unified into one kingdom, the Italians, who felt that they were falling behind in the scramble for Africa, purchased a small port on the Red Sea from the local Eritreans and began expanding outwards. In approximately 20 years, they controlled a significant portion of East Africa, and as this was occurring, the nearby Ethiopian Empire, which had existed in the region for over 600 years, suddenly found itself cut off from the sea. And by 1887, skirmishes were occurring between the Italians and local Ethiopian warlords. This culminated in the Battle of Dogali, in which an Italian column was ambushed and destroyed by the Ethiopians.
Let's go!
After this, the Italians were determined to pacify Ethiopia, and they saw their chance when its emperor died and the throne was claimed by the Italian-supported Menelik II. Italy signed a treaty with Menelik that promised backing to his claim, as well as financial and military aid, in exchange for recognition of Italy's colonial territories. However, there were two versions of the treaty. One was written in Italian, and the other Amharic, the language of Ethiopia, and each had different terms. Ooh. The contentious clause, which eventually would lead to the outbreak of war, was in the Italian version of the treaty.
Okay, so technically, if I'm reading this correctly, or hearing this correctly, so Italy there was two versions of the treaty. Mm-hmm. And both versions had different things in there. So the Italian version probably had things that were more benefiting to the Italians. Right. It was like and then the Amharic one was probably had like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do, but this is what we're actually gonna do. Yeah. Okay.
Which stated that Ethiopia was effectively a colonial protectorate of Italy, a provision that did not exist in the Amharic draft. After Menelik tried to establish diplomatic relations with other European countries, it was only a matter of time before the Italians accused him of breaching the treaty. Although all other European nations refused to recognize Ethiopia's independence, Russia was supportive of Menelik's ambitions, as they were both Orthodox Christian countries. War finally came in December of 1894, when a group of Ethiopian insurgents under the leadership of a local king attacked an Italian fort in the colony of Eritrea. In response to this, the Italians sent expeditions into Ethiopia, an act which served as a declaration of war. The leader of this expedition, General Oreste Baratieri, had previous military experience in the wars of Italian unification and in Eritrea. Baratieri's expedition of 20,000 men was composed of both Italian soldiers and local Eritrean auxiliaries, who were mostly equipped with the nearly outdated Vetterli rifle, which used a black powder cartridge.
Rookies.
Although Baratieri's expedition encountered initial success against some of the local kings, things would change after Menelik assembled a massive army of 200,000 men in September 1895. Though they were armed with spears and swords, about half of them were armed with modern rifles, which had been purchased from the Russians. Interestingly, the Ethiopians, all things considered, were better equipped than their Italian counterparts, who were unaware of this due to Menelik's cunning. He led the Italians to believe that Ethiopia was a completely primitive country on the brink of collapse.
You gotta learn today.
The Italian government, therefore, ordered Baratieri to make a drive straight for Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital. Although the Italians were successful in their initial movements, the first omen of what would come of their ambitions in Ethiopia came at the Battle of Amba Alagi on December the 7th, 1895. Only a few months into the new year, the Italian campaign abruptly ended when Baratieri finally encountered Menelik's army in the mountains near the town of Adwa. General Baratieri's expedition was already beginning to run low on water, munitions, and morale, and when the huge Ethiopian army of approximately 100,000 men was spotted...
Bro, what you doing?
Bro,
I'm burying myself.
Okay, people are gonna be like this. You gotta save your country. Better learn today. We lost. Retreat. Come back stronger. No, what do you think we are? The Persians?
It's like you watched
wait, in the army of the 300s. Which one's the
Spartans?
Yeah. Do we look like Spartans to you? Nah,
Sparta?
Dude. Nah.
When the huge Ethiopian army of approximately 120,000 men was spotted, he was, understandably, planning to retreat. But this was not an option, as he was ordered by Italian Prime Minister Crispi, no, I'm not making that name up, to attack Menelik's force. On the night of February 20th, Baratieri divided his expedition into 3 prongs and began marching into the mountains near Menelik's encampment. When sun rose, the 3 Italian brigades stood miles away from each other due to outdated maps. To make matters worse for Baratieri, his men had been spotted by the enemy and were in no position to create the crossfire situation that they had originally planned. Rather, the left brigade found itself under heavy rifle and artillery fire, and the Ethiopians had positioned themselves at higher elevation. The other brigades did not arrive in time to support, and the Italian left was annihilated in a series of charges. Similarly, the center brigade, which was now dangerously isolated, was consumed by mass infantry assaults, and when the final Italian brigade attempted to retreat, it was funneled into a narrow ravine and was utterly destroyed by Menelik's cavalry.
Yeah. They're taking no prisoners. None. Rookies.
During all of this, the Ethiopians lost 10% of their men, while the Italians lost nearly 60%.
Jesus.
After this decisive defeat, Baratieri retreated back into Eritrea, but was not pursued by Menelik, who wanted to preserve his strength. When news of the disaster at Adwa reached Italy, there were mass riots and protests against Crispi's administration. Italy was forced to sue for peace, and after some negotiation, the 2 nations signed the Treaty of Addis Ababa, which demanded little from the Italians except the recognition of Ethiopian independence. In conclusion, we can see that the Italians lost due to a combination of factors, the biggest being that they were unprepared for a remote war, especially against a state as well organized and well equipped as Ethiopia. The Battle of Adwa serves as a perfect microcosm through which to view the First First Italo-Ethiopian War. Adwa was a hasty, ill-conceived operation undertaken by a force with inadequate planning against a numerically superior enemy that was incorrectly perceived, at least by the Italian government. A secondary reason for the Ethiopian victory was Menelik's foresight, as he had been stockpiling modern weaponry for years after Ethiopia had been devastated by a British invasion in 1868. In the long term, Ethiopian hegemony would not last, as the rise of fascism and revanchist rhetoric after the First World War made it clear that Italian affairs in East Africa were not over.
They're gonna try again.
King Menelik II has gone down in history as one of the most innovative leaders in Africa. His methodical approach to solving strategic and bureaucratic issues allowed him to conduct the war against Italy successfully and develop Ethiopia into a modern state with electricity, infrastructure, and financial institutions. It is the same methodical approach that our sponsor, Brilliant, offers along with mathematics, science, and physics. The STEM field may sound extremely daunting, especially for an armchair historian like yourself, but Brilliant allows you to learn these concepts through fun armchair historian.
Bro, it's already been not Jesus. I thought it's already came. Oh God! All right, guys, listen. That was how did Italy lose to Ethiopia in 1895?
You should have done your research, people.
Huh?
You should have done your research.
I know, bro. Can you?
Because they had both sides. They had the both up and then like the side.
Oh, They had them barricaded, but they just couldn't. But again, it's a massive piece of land.
Yeah.
So, but again, they had outdated maps, so they got played.
Yeah.
Yeah, L's.
And then you never. Why would you separate if you know nothing about the area?
Have you never seen a scary movie? Has it ever worked for him? Hey, you go this way, I'm gonna go this way.
Go this way.
One of you always dies, and then now it's just you.
And then you watch the person get
killed. Have you not seen Scooby Doo?
No, they haven't.
No, they always get taking L's, bro. Anyhow, guys, listen. Those are things like this intrigue us a lot, so we're gonna watch them, and you can watch it with us, or you cannot watch it. It's up to you. But if you're not a part of the Amicy gang, click on that subscribe button below and join us and be a part of the squad. And at all times, don't cheat yourself.
Love thyself,
and keep it Amicy. Peace.